Hi, welcome to Healing Humanity. My name is Dina, and let's talk about emotional pain right now, turning into physical pain. So, one of the things that I found fascinating along my path has been where emotional pain or disease in my body was actually brought on primarily by the things that I was thinking or what was happening in my physical reality. And so, how did I learn that? Well, I learned that by doing a little bit of research when I had breast cancer. And sides of our body determine, male, female. It could be have different meanings for either left side or right side. Um, and the left side, actually, for the left breast, was troubles with a mother figure. And that was absolutely true. That there was some turbulence there that was unresolved turbulence and holding on to anger, and that's what caused the emotional, the physical effects in my body was the emotional trauma that I was holding on to, and it's fascinating to me because if we could change our thinking, that people call it manifestation, people call it prayer, whatever it is that you call it, um, the 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 genuine nature of being positive and thinking positive and acting in a positive manner can turn around the sickness in your life. And if it can't completely turn it around, maybe it's gone too far, it absolutely will help it to stay at bay once you do get well. And that is what I found in my life. I immediately, when I learned that, I had actually just sort of dealt with some stuff with my mom before she passed, before I was diagnosed with the breast cancer, and had just finished kind of working through something with her, and it was like an emotional release for me. But at that point, it was a little too late for the physical. Um, so I did have to go through um, some physical surgeries and radiation and that kind of thing. But honestly, it was something that was really brought on by holding on to the negative, holding on to the trauma, holding on to the pain, or the resentment, even. And if we can learn to speak that positivity into our lives, our vibrations, our cells will actually improve dramatically. You know, one of the other things that I found when I was first going through sort of an awakening, realizing, different things, different topics, looking into things that I had never really realized before, especially about positivity and gratitude. I came upon the study by Masaru, Masaru Emoto. I hope I'm saying that right. Um, but Mr. Emoto was a scientist, and he had this study that he was determining whether or not positive words could affect um, the water, and he proved that it did. So he had taken water from the same source around the same time and put them into petri dishes and put positive words like love and peace and harmony and respect all on the bottom facing the water. And those turned into beautiful crystals. And in the other set of petri dishes, he put the same water, say around the same time, and he put negative words like hate, fear, um, kill or kill you, those kinds of things, and it turned into these clusters of really ill-formed or ugly crystal structures in the water, because he froze this water, and it formed these things, from the from being in the freezer. It was an amazing study. I suggest, if you don't know about it, you should definitely go look it up. And it spoke to me on how I should be speaking and showing up in the world, not only for myself but for others. I thought it was really important that I learned this, because did carry around a lot of anger and a lot of resentments, and um, held on to things far longer than I should have. My family was great with holding on to grudges. We were good at it, you know. We were really good at it, and but it's, when you're doing that and you're being raised that way, you don't realize how unhealthy that is and how badly that can affect your body. And this um, woman, Louise Hay, she wrote Heal Your Body, and I've mentioned it before, but it's a way of turning certain situations into a positive. And it may not fix it immediately, but it does definitely start to make a difference when you start to turn the narratives around and speak life into your body. And we've heard these things on the internet, all kinds of stuff like this. Speak life into your body, be grateful, be positive. And not everybody has that capability immediately. It takes work. It's not easy. Um, so, like, one of the things that I find that a lot of us share is back problems, right? Well, what that represents is it supports your life, right? Your back supports your body, and back pain kind of represents the supporting system in your life. And if you can actually turn the narrative around, and every morning and every night kind of give yourself this pep talk almost. And she suggested to state, I know that life always supports me. And that's just one of, maybe a couple hundred of different problems. Nausea. Who would think that nausea would have anything to do with your your thoughts? But it can. Nausea is related to fear and rejecting an idea or an experience. And she suggests stating in your life, I am safe. I trust the process of life to bring only good to me. And, I could go on and on and on. I just find it really fascinating. And I find that, um, Masaru Emoto's study was spot on to exactly what she's stating in her book about healing your body. The more that we speak life into our body, the more that we speak positivity and bring things into our existence that support us, the healthier and happier, more joyful we will be. And we can show up that way in the world, for others, because there's so many other people that are walking around in this world, and they are in pain. They have not learned the things that perhaps you and I have learned, where we can speak life into our body. We can pray for that positivity and for that the healthy cells and the support, and correlate, what's going on in our body with what is actually happening in our mind. And it may not be something that's at the forefront, right? It may not be something you think every single day, but it could be something that you learned 20 years ago and just sort of have carried in the back of your mind all this time. The way that you sort of approach situations, or you approach other people, or something that just sort of clicks in the back of your head that you don't even really think about, but it guides who you are and how you show up. Those are the kinds of things that we are here to kind of relearn and to refocus ourselves and to heal ourselves from that kind of trauma that we learned as a young kid. And it could have come from anywhere. It could have come from neighbors, could have come from friends, could have come from, school systems, could have come from parents, family members, whatever. It could be anything that guides us, because all of our experiences in the past make us who we are right now. And, we have to own that. We have to understand it first. We have to look at it, understand it, and know that we're all in that same boat. So it's nothing to be ashamed of, but it is something that is your responsibility to change. You cannot allow yourself, once you realize and you look back and you go, yeah, that happened, and this is why I do what I do, instead of stating to someone, this is why I do what I do, too bad for you, say, yeah, this is what I do, what I do, and here, let me think about that some more and see what I can do about changing. And even if you don't share that with somebody within yourself, state it to yourself, because don't you think that you deserve to be emotionally free from the baggage that you've just sort of picked up along the way? I know I felt that way. I carried a lot. I had God's help in that, in releasing it. Thank God. Thank you. But it was a hard journey, and it was something that I had to go through, and I had to look at things within myself. How was I showing up? Who was I? What needed to change and what didn't need to change? And all of those things affect how your body is, and how they call it metaphysical causations. And what that is it's the way that you think can manifest in the physical realm, right? Just like manifestations. People talk about, manifesting a different life, or manifesting your dreams, manifesting your spiritual partner, love of your life. All those, I suppose, are possible, but really you have to start with yourself to be able to get to that other side, to be able to manifest different things in your life. You have to be able to look within and say to yourself, where do you need to change? Where do you need to release some of the things in the past so it's not affecting your body, so it's not weighing you down, that you can show up for yourself and others in joy, in love, and in peace. And so many people, which is so sad, so many people they judge people that walk in peace so harshly. Why? Because it's not the norm. And isn't that sad that it's not the norm? Isn't it sad that we all are not walking, through our lives with more joy, more peace, and more love, and more health, right? That our bodies are healthier because of the way that we allow ourselves to think. I say allow ourselves because it's a choice. When I realized I didn't have to hold on to the pain that I was holding on to, when I realized that I didn't have to react to certain situations or control certain situations in my life, that I could release it and everything still would be okay, that was so freeing for me. I can't even tell you. It was amazing. And I still am grateful for that lesson that I learned along this journey, because without that, I probably wouldn't be here right now, honestly, because there were so many things that I wanted to control. I wanted to change. And it was, maybe through not only my life, but other people's lives. Like, I just want to take some people and just shake them, go, what are you thinking? But I couldn't, right? Especially in the state that I was in. I was unhealthy myself. So I had to start looking within, going, okay, what can you control? What can you not control? How can you make these changes for yourself and stay in peace, joy, love, and happiness? And a lot of that was prayer. A lot of that was God's guidance and direction. And a lot of it truly began through gratitude. And if you haven't gone down that path, that's a great place to start, is to bring gratitude into your life every morning. And I use the morning because it sets up your mental capacity for the day, right? If you start your day with gratitude about what you are looking for in joy and peace and what you're grateful for, that will stay with you throughout the day, and you will find things throughout the day. You'll find yourself finding things throughout the day that you're actually grateful for, that you probably wouldn't have even thought of unless you started focusing on gratitude. And that's just a brilliant way to start owning your life, start owning what's happened in the past, and start to change the way that you're mentally processing things and letting go of control, and allowing God to just sort of guide you in your life. But yeah, the metaphysical causations are just so profound, like I think it was Emoto who also did the rice experiment, if I'm not mistaken. It could have been somebody else, but I think it was Emoto also that did a rice experiment. Same concept where he took cooked rice, put it into two containers, one with positive affirmations on the outside, one with negative, and the one with positive affirmations, several days or weeks later, was still white, was still rice. Basically, I don't know if I would eat it, but it was still rice. It was not decaying. The one that had the negative affirmations it was rotted, molding. It just was such a drastic difference that when we think about our bodies, about healing ourselves, we have to really consider these kinds of studies, because it actually, if our bodies are made of, they say 70% water, maybe more, 70% water, these water experiments, rice experiments also with water, show us just how powerful even one word can be to change the structure, the physical structure of something. And if we want better health, we want stronger bodies, if we want stronger minds, we have to learn to speak to ourselves in the way that that nets us that end result. And it's easy to say, but it's not so easy to do. And I do a little bit of a roller coaster sometimes, and I try to pull myself back and recenter myself. Because when you, I don't know if I was raised, well, yeah, my mom was a little bit on the negative side, probably a lot. She's a good woman, but yeah, she was always finding the stuff that was wrong rather than the stuff that was right. And so when you're kind of trained that way and you learn those patterns, it does kind of stick with you, and you do have to kind of refocus, restructure yourself, your language and whatnot, to bring that health back, to bring your thoughts back in order. But yeah, and I wish this for everyone, because the saddest part for me along this path has been to watch people not trust somebody who's in peace and joy and love. It's not trusted. It's not normal for people. And that's just been the saddest part. And I would love to see that the things change for people in that aspect. Anyway, until next time, keep healing. And if you do have some body pains, look it up on the internet. It can be found anywhere. The effects that you could type in either the metaphysical effects of, say, back pain, or spiritual effects of neck pain or nerve problems, and look up what it tells you, and kind of take heed to that and turn whatever that is around in a verbal way that you can actually state morning and night, to turn that thought process around in your mind, to help you heal whatever it is that you've got going on in your body. I wish you luck.